Hi, my name is Grace Shalom Hopkins and welcome to another episode of Spin Weekly. It is another Tour de Fleece video. Whoop whoop. So today we're going to be doing the actual spin, and just like last time, if you're a Patreon person you get the voiceover, but if you're a YouTube person I'm going to go over it here because I don't want you to miss any of this Tour de Fleece festivities. So the actual spin is really pretty straightforward. You spin it from the braid, and because I split my fiber into two, I made sure that both sides were either interchangeable or I knew which side I started on, and in my case they were interchangeable. I suppose you could flip it around so that way you had a consistent flow rather than two mirrored parts. It depends on what your goal is, but keep that in mind so you connect the fiber in the right way. All right, so I started off spinning my daisy chain of the co-drafted fiber, and as I spun I found that if I stuck my finger in the loop it helped me from yanking fiber up one half of the pairing too fast, because sometimes I felt like it was easy to yank up a bunch of like purple. These are not the colors of this yarn, but then the pink is like over here, and so I was like purple, pink, purple, pink, purple, pink, and then you get the polka dot situation, which is not what we're going for. Now there's going to be a little bit of polka dotting because we're not machines and this is an imperfect process, but you want to minimize it, right? So what I did, in addition to putting my finger in the loop as I drafted, I also turned it so the two colors were sitting side by side this way rather than on top of each other, but side by side. And so I was able to kind of put my thumb at the junction and guide them in together. So you're visualizing them doing the barber pole thing, but you're actually looking at your drafting zone and seeing it pulling off of both. And if your drafting zone is so wide that you need to pull off of one side or the other, or if you're going up the middle, you're leaving long bits on the edges, you need to go ahead and draft it a little bit more. And I did some of that. You can continue to draft it right there at the wheel. So if your initial drafting wasn't thin enough, go ahead and carefully draft it some more after it's been combined. And that's a lot easier once it's been braided because it does that slight felting that I mentioned in yesterday's video. I don't know if it was yesterday, last day's video, whatever day it was. So that's the big trick with the spinning. And then in addition to that, if you're spinning a single and you're not used to spinning a singles, you might be worried that you're over twisting it. And singles, I think they are just extra twisty. They are. And mine was a hot, twisty mess when I took it off of the wheel. You'll see pictures in the next video. But once I set it, it stayed flat and it wasn't problematic. So don't freak out about that. I personally think it's better to over twist than under twist when in doubt, because under twist will fall apart and over twist can be worked with. A worst case scenario, if it's a disaster, you can just run it back through the wheel kind of backwards, but that would also be a pain in the bum. So another way you can deal with that is while you're working with it, you can just hang your ball and let it untwist a little bit. That's also possible. But I'm going to let you guys jump into the next part of the video. Like I said, if you want the voiceover video and you're a Patreon person or want to become a Patreon person, links down below. I'll see you on the other side. Alright, so here we are at my Spinolution Queen Bee. Little trick, if you hold that little peggy thing, it won't make a click. You can ease it in because it does make a bit of a click. And if your baby's sleeping right next to you, you might not want that. So here is our fiber, and you can see that I'm just unbraiding the very top portion that I'm drafting out of. I'm not unbraiding a bunch of it. And I'm just going to warn you right away that I did this because of the clips that looked pretty together, as this is not a chronological demonstration of this. So if I'm jumping between colors and you're really confused what's happening, it's not chronological. This is multiple days spliced together in a visually appealing way because it didn't matter. So the tricks that I found were, if you could hold the fiber to where half of your drafting zone like the right is blue and in this picture, and the left is light blue. And see if you can get it to be even as you're looking down on it. And that is a good way to assure a nice barber pull. Because if you try and spin kind of across the top, you're gonna get the polka dot situation. So you want your drafting zone to be exactly 50-50. So you're pulling out of both sides, and that's where the really thin drafting helps, because if you had this thicker like I did at the beginning part of that braid, I would have had to spin across the top, and then you're getting blue, 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 light blue, light blue. Instead you want light blue and blue exactly at the same time, co-drafting style. I tried to put them on top of each other like sandwich style, and I found that that was a lot more difficult to control. So you can visually make sure what's happening if you do it side by side from the top. So you can see how I'm doing that. And again, I'm not stressing if it blips or if there's a part that's all one color. This is hand spun after all, and I think the little blips of solid color actually sort of visually cue that it is not a barber pole marley thing, it's something more complicated. So I think it's okay, but I've never been accused of being a perfectionist. You can see my financial literacy classes there, really rocking out. But anyhow, so the spin was really straightforward and meditative. I think it's nice because it has all of the ease of an end-to-end spin. You're not doing any weird techniques. You're not keeping track of a ton of fiber. You are just spinning across the top. The only thing you're working on is getting those two colors to blend nicely. And another thought there is sometimes it was a 50-50 split and sometimes it was more dominant of color A with little wisps of color B, but all of that, similar to the solid pops, I think really contribute to the beautiful organic feeling of this yarn. So it was just really nice to watch the colors mingle together, and I found it to be one of the few spins that I would have been content to just watch the colors. I often have that moment when I'm prepping, and the prep is the meditative, I say meditative, that's not a word, meditative process for me. But this spin was really that for me. The prep was a little tedious, I'm not gonna lie. It was repetitive like spinning at the wheel often is psychologically for me. So the two were reversed, and I thought that was interesting. But yeah, you can see that I'm not doing anything special. I'm making really sure that my supply hand is doing its job, and I'm not letting extra supply come in or too much blue or too much green. Everything is going in evenly, and a way that you can do that is at the beginning when I was kind of getting the trick of it, I stuck my finger in the loop of the braid that was just undone, and that helped from accidentally shooting fiber out into my drafting zone. But after a few lumps, I didn't need to do that anymore. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. I thought it was a really beautiful spin. I really enjoyed the speed of spinning a single because I don't have to put it through a second time. And I got all of the color work that I want from a 2-ply. So time saving without visually compromising anything. I thought that was really helpful. Now you could actually go ahead and ply this with another color. You could even make 2 of these and ply them together. I really consider doing that, and I think the next time I do a single fractal, I will do that, just to see. So that's where I'm at, and tomorrow or whatever the next day is, we will discuss the setting process, and hopefully I'll have a little swatch so you can see what's going on, because I like you that much. Because I hate swatching. So yeah, if you like this video, hit the like button. If you want to stick around for these shenanigans, hit the subscribe button. And just like last time, I want to know, how is your tour de Fleece going? Do you have any further thoughts from last time? Continue to pour that out. If you didn't comment on the last video about your tour de Fleece experience, now is the perfect opportunity. I mean, really. So yes, I will see you next time.